welcome to this edition of Facebook Live. I know you guys just saw me yesterday. Maybe you guys are getting tired of seeing me. And to help out with that, I'm going to bring Ben on the show, and I'm going to introduce him in a little bit. What are we doing today? First, I need to check audio. Is the audio coming in okay for you guys? Give me a big thumbs up. Yes? Mr. Ben Burns, can you say something?
Yeah, I'm talking too.
You're talking too. So
yeah.
There's like two talking people today. So let me tell you a little bit about the structure of the show. What we're going to do is we're going to do a live design critique. Those of you guys that are a fan of our typography series, when I sit down with Min, basically I'm kind of bringing you in over the shoulder, looking at the work as I talk to her. But we're going to try something a little different today. Again, everything's live, so you guys bear with us if we have some technical difficulties. Hopefully we work this stuff out. We're getting better at doing this multi-camera setup for Facebook Live. I'll be working on top of Min's files, and we can have a discussion about it. So if you guys care to comment, you guys can comment in the section below, and Ben Burns will be monitoring that. And at an appropriate point in time, I will have Ben pick somebody out from the audience to ask a live question, and you can call us via Facebook. What is that? The phone app? What is that called?
Yeah, it's like in the messenger.
Yeah, call me the Facebook phone so we can actually hear your voice and we can have a discussion about it because I don't want to talk to a computer screen. So that's kind of how this is going to go, you guys. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing today. I'm going to be reviewing a new show segment for the future. It's called Snapshot. And it's kind of our reality TV series thing where it's really raw, candid looks behind the scenes, kind of a peek behind the curtain, if you will, of what happens in a design studio. And so I gave her a main title to design, and what you're going to see is her work on it over a couple of weeks. Now, the exact time of which, I don't know. But you guys want to stick around? Let's roll the title, Cheryl. What happened? We did it twice? Cut it! Cut it, Drew!
Remix.
Rewind. All right, we're back. It worked, but it was so good that we did it twice. Awesome job, Cheryl. I forgot to tell you guys, we're going to be on for about an hour or so, okay? So first of all, thanks for tuning in. You guys, I want to let you know this is a dry rehearsal for what we're going to be doing next week. Next week, we're going to be critiquing your work, and I want to tell you how that's going to work. You're going to get an email notification, or you're going to get a notification on Facebook to sign up for it. You have to sign up for it because we're going to use Crowdcast again, and it only allows me to take in 50 people. More than 50 people can register, but I max out at 50 people. And so when you tune in, this is what we're going to do. Next week, we're going to focus on motion design. So if you do storyboards, style frames, or animation, you can submit your work. I'm only going to limit it to one project per person because we want to get in as many people as possible. And what you need to do is when we're in the Crowdcast, you're going to post your work up. And people within the group will vote it up and down. So I'll always deal with the one that floats up to the top. So that's kind of how it will work next week. So I just want to give you guys some notifications so you can prepare for that, okay? If there are any questions about that, guys, just comment and I will address it. I think that's it. You ready to go, Ben?
Let's get to work.
Why don't I introduce you? Why don't we cut to Ben's camera and talk to Ben? Ben is our new digital director here, and he's gonna. Your background's not necessarily in motion; it's more in branding, brand strategy, web development, right?
Exactly. I've never dealt with motion before in my life.
Okay, so I'm gonna encourage you to ask any kind of quote unquote dumb question.
Cool.
And there's a lot that's similar between graphic design and motion design. It's just a more specific kind of narrow version of graphic design, right? So we'll get into all that. So if you don't know something, please ask me. I'm not proclaiming that I'm a title design expert, but that's what we're going to be working on today. Okay, so we're going to get into it. So let's jump in and let's talk to the people. So it's called Snapshot, and typically what happens with something like that is, oops, I should probably cut to this screen here. We start with a logo, and I don't know about your process, Ben, but sometimes when we're designing a logo, we'll just use a bunch of different typefaces. And we'll try out things just to kind of get a feel for what feels good. And so here's Min. I think she's trying out a bunch of different typefaces. some of which I don't even recognize. So there's some script italic faces here.
I typically call this a font board.
A font board, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Now somebody told me that it's technically called a typeface. The font is the delivery vehicle. So this on screen would be called a font, but if you were to get metal typeset, that's a font.
Gotcha.
But the design of like Helvetica is a typeface, not a font.
So it'd be a type board, maybe.
Yeah,
is the better
typeface board.
typeface board.
But everybody uses the word typeface and font interchangeably, and I got schooled on it. And Rachel Elnar from TypeEd told me, nope, they're two different things. So I looked it up. So now you can see that each one of these typefaces has a very different personality, right? So like, let me mark this one up so you guys can see it. Let me try it with this brush and see what happens here.
Uh-oh, Tom's is calling you out on the use of lobster.
Lobster. Don't worry about it. We're just exploring. So like you see this font right here, or this typeface, it's got a much more angular feel to it. So there's a certain kind of coldness to the font. And we're just exploring like this font here. I don't even know what font that is, but it's got a very handwritten vibe to it. It's got a little bit of distressing, and the letter forms are a little funky, right? People always ask, like, how do you know what typeface or font to choose? Ben, what's your plan of attack there?
Honestly, I just lay them all out. If I can pull something from the strategy or from other resources that we've used in the past for if it's a client, that's kind of where I start. And then I always look for contrast if we're using two fonts or two typefaces.
How do you know which one's right? Like, what does the strategy tell you about what font to choose?
It's kind of in the words that they use to describe the brand. So if it's modern or handcrafted, those two things are opposing to me.
So if they say handcrafted, you pick a font that's kind of got some wear and tear.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I don't necessarily let that drive the typeface choice, because if you guys have followed me on my type manual, I only use about 15 to 20 fonts for 20 years, so it's about a font a year. I don't dabble in these kind of display typefaces, okay? I'm not going to get too much into that, but right now, what it looks like to me, and I'm going to talk about this as if Min were watching and pretending like she's staring at the screen with me. I'm looking at this. So here's another font. This one looks kind of fun. It looks like a signature right there. And she's typing them all out on one line. And I think here, what's happening here is we're breaking it into two lines. And so sometimes when you're designing a logo, and when you design a logo, I'm going to switch to black here so you guys can see, you design a horizontal logo and it'll look like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we want to do is design the logo to fit within a square as closely as possible. Because what happens is when you scale this thing down, it'll look like this. I'm holding shift down here to draw it, guys, in case somebody's wondering what I'm doing. My Wacom is mapped out kind of funny. Versus this. Because this has greater weight. Okay? So that's what we're doing there. So that's why Min is breaking this up. But what I would say is, then what we want to do, I'm going to switch colors here, is probably not to space that out as much. What I would do is try to pull these letter forms together, make it tighter. So this is going to go in like that, and this will go in like that. Is the delay killing it? Like when I talk and I'm off sync, Ben?
No, you're in sync here.
I'm in sync?
Yeah.
Okay. But as I'm talking, I'm kind of moving here. So there's a bunch of different typefaces here, and none of them are saying that they're going to work or not work. I know some of them I just don't like. And there's something strange going on here. There's an inversion of the letter A right here. You guys see that? And then the P goes backwards. And I'm wondering, like, why somebody did that, right? And I'm thinking that the reason why the P may have been flipped around that way is to give us nice, sharp edges here. So sometimes you guys will see logo types that kind of have funky letter rotation or orientation. And that's mostly because I think they're trying to solve a spacing problem. Okay, we're looking at the spacing between these letters, and we're trying to find something that feels optically even across the board. So that's called, what's that called, Ben? What's the term? What's the type term for that?
I'm sorry, I was reading somebody else's comment.
Thank you, sir. So it's called kerning, right? The space between letters. Hopefully I spelled that right. So here, there's something interesting that's happening where she rotated the H on its side. So it's reading like an I. So it's not reading really well. interesting idea. It reads like S-I-O-T instead of shot, S-H-O-T. So we kind of have to be mindful of that this might look cool, and it's really nice to explore, but it's not really reading, okay? So now we're going to go on to the next thing. So we're still playing around with some type, so we're going to see some further exploration of type. If I can hit that key. Why is it not working? Okay. And I think as a designer, we can add in extra type. We can add in elements like a circle. We can put it on a slant, like the way it's done right now. And so we're kind of throwing out some fonts that are obviously not going to work. Some exploration here. And I think at this point, I was telling Min, like, since it's called Snapshot, it kind of reminds me of photography and maybe like a camera company like Leica or Agfa, the paper company, like when people used to take pictures and use real film and print things out, And so I think that's where this was being, where the inspiration for this is from. So I'm going to switch over to Safari, and I'll hide that one for a second.
Let me ask you, typically when we do standard logos, we start in Illustrator, at least I do. Is there a reason why, related to motion design, that this is in Photoshop? Or is that just her platform that she's using to explore?
Why are we in Photoshop?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. We do not design in Photoshop. We design in usually Illustrator, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why this is in Photoshop is because I'm paint over it.
Oh, gotcha.
That's mostly for me to mark it up. I'm trying to simulate like me sitting down with a piece of paper and working over it. So now if we're looking at the screen here, here's the Agfa logo. And it has a certain look to it. It's very retro. This one's really nice. I like this one right here. I hope you guys can see me moving my hand around it. It's kind of an italicized font, sans serif. It's in a diamond-shaped thing in a red box. That's pretty cool. So I'm just trying to look for something to grab onto as an idea. If the show's called Snapshot, there's something about film and photography that I'm kind of picking up, and that's what I'm looking for. I want it to be grounded in something, right? And so here's the Leica logo. Leica is, legendary camera company and super expensive and high end. And you can see the vibe there. There's a big red circle and a really beautiful, kind of nostalgic script letter form, script logo type. So that's kind of given me a feeling for it. I'm not sure it's going to work for our show. I don't see us as being too retro, but I think that's where we kind of jump off of. So now you can see why there's some design work going on. What's up?
So our audience has kind of grown. We're at over 50 people now. Can you give them a little bit of context on what we're doing?
Okay, so in case you guys are, let's cut back to this camera over here. In case you guys are wondering what the heck we're looking at right now, we're designing in a kind of a spec logo for a show title for our network called Snapshot. Snapshot is kind of a reality documentary series behind a design company and what we do. So I want to have that kind of visual language of cinema verite, something that feels very unscripted, kind of behind the scenes, raw and unprocessed. And that's the nature of what we're designing right now. So she's going to design a logo and a title design sequence. So that like our show opens up and you can see graphics and you can see lower thirds. You're going to see interstitials to go to commercials or sponsor pages. And there's an end credit page. And if there were producers and writers and showrunners, all that stuff would happen in the title sequence.
So the show's just going to have its own brand and collateral and that kind of stuff.
So the idea behind the Future Network was that we're going to produce lots of different segments and programs. It's not always going to be about the process. The process was where we talk about the business of design, the design of business, but that kind of boxes in. Like if you tune into Fox, CBS, or even HBO, they have different shows that have completely different programming and design aesthetics, right? A more typical one would be like ABC or CBS. They have their daytime lineup, their nighttime lineup, the weekends, news, and they all look a little bit different. All right? Does that help, guys? So those of you guys that don't do main title design, this might be either strange or really interesting. I don't know.
Crystal's psyched to see the show.
Crystal?
Yep, Crystal Benford.
All right. We're producing our first segment right now, actually. The title design will hopefully be done before the edit of the first show. Anyways, and so now you guys can see that she's kind of anchoring the logo within a round shape. Like like this one right here. And she's kind of looking at how to, okay, so the only thing that I can see that's different is the typeface choice. You guys see that right there? And she's got this kind of asymmetrical design, so it's not, it's like on an axis versus being straight up. The other way to do that is to have it like this, where they're even across. Okay, so of these ones, I think I like this one the best. It's a strong, bold mark. It can reduce down well, it holds up, and the typeface isn't too tricky. Like this feels a little romantic to me. There's something about that I don't love. And this one at least feels like a font that I can recognize maybe. So I'm leaning towards this, but we have some issues. Like, what do we do with stuff in here and in here? Is there anything else that we would do? We want to fill up the space. So it's not filling up the space. So when we reduce this thing down to a really small mark like that, you're not going to be able to read it. Okay? So you guys keep coming with your questions. I'm going to try this again. Here we go. All right. So now, this is the next evolution of the logo. This doesn't happen in a linear process. So Min will design a logo or a typeface just to work with while she's designing the entire sequence, and then they inform each other. Okay? And sometimes you would just work and just do the logo, get sign off on that first from your client, and then you would work on the title sequence itself.
Mm-hmm.
But because she's kind of new to title design and sequential design, this was a whole learning process for her.
Wow, so she's new to this.
She's new to this.
too.
She's brand new to
Okay.
it. So I have to kind of explain to her how to do it while she's doing it.
Wow.
And she's pretty awesome.
I don't feel alone now, so that's good.
So those of you guys that are traditional graphic designers and you want to get into broadcast design, motion graphics, it's a cousin, you know. It's not like a distant relative. It's a first cousin. And a lot of the principles you learn about composition and space still work. The key difference here is you don't usually work with a lot of type. You work with more imagery. And it's going to become evident when we dig into the work that she's done. Okay? So now, picking up where we left off, this is not the right typeface here, you know, but that's something that she's doing right there. And now I'm starting to see something. Okay, so we got some crazy font or typeface selection down there. We're not going to look at that, you guys. So don't start hating on us just yet, right? And here, she's using the future branding, and this one right here, and we're using a font called Futura, or Futura, which is a beautiful typeface, and I love it. Futura is really based on geometry, so the letter forms are kind of similar to, like, when you look at an O, it's really circular, right? And if you were to draw an X in here, let me see if I can draw an X. It's very geometric in its design, okay? I'm not going to draw, obviously, because it's harder to control this Wacom pen than it should be. All right? So that's Futura, and that's the same typeface that we use for the Future network. And so there is some connectivity there. And you can see here, in this version of the Snapshot, she's got some things going on. I'm going to switch colors here so we can see a little bit better. Where she's got this thing. So she's trying to line up the P, undo. Right? She's trying to line up the P and the T, and in the future, there's like we cut off the T on this side, so making that little modification there, you guys, you see that? But I don't want this to be the future brand. Snapshot is its own brand. It's its own channel. It can have its own look and vibe, and so I'm kind of encouraging her to step away from using Futura or to treat it differently. All right. And if you guys have ever used a camera and you look through the viewfinder. I don't know what it's called, but there's these two circles, a semicircle, and they split in half. You know what I'm talking about? And when they're lined up, that's how you know it's in focus.
Right.
This is called like old school manual focus lens, right? None of this digital stuff. And so there was that idea. So it looks like this, you guys. Somebody who's a photographer, if you're watching right now, tell us what that's called. I don't know, is it a diopter? No, I don't know what it's called. But when these two things are in alignment, so when they shift, I'll show you what it looks like. Give me 1 second. When it shifts like that, you know it's not in focus. Okay? So that's out of focus. And what I showed you before was in focus. There's a contrast between. So that's what she's playing around with here. You see a split right here? So it's solving two problems. One, it's kind of a very subtle nod to the language of photography and film. Okay, so that's that part. But also, it gets the letter forms to be tighter in together. So we're getting greater density. So when it's straight like this, it's smaller. It's like that, right, guys? Versus this, where we can make the font, I'm exaggerating here, but it's bigger. It occupies more space, so it's bolder and therefore more legible from a distance. So the test is, usually when you design a logo, you need to make it work within a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square, and that's not a lot of space. So that's something's coming together, and I'm starting to feel this. Like, these two feel pretty good to me. Maybe we just change up the font itself, right? Any questions so far, Ben?
Well, we do have some answers.
What's the answers?
So
I love
Caitlin,
that. We have a smart audience.
Yeah, Caitlin says viewfinder.
I said viewfinder.
I think it's a smaller part. Now, Micah says it's a split prism.
Split prism.
Yeah, Robert Loyal says split prism as well. So
Okay,
they may be
there's 2 votes
right.
for split prism, and I like that. I'm gonna go with split prism, whether or not, see, like, here's the camera viewfinder. You can see that, but it's not showing me the part I want, because it's all digital now. There's all these digital autofocus points, you know, those little squares that you see on my screen. And then you see the grid, so you can get framing right. But there's some cool things in here, and I'm gonna reference this later. Getting back in the shop.
Everybody loves Futura too. I mean, they're going
Futura?
crazy. Yeah, we got 170 people on YouTube lighting up about Futura.
Futura. You guys love Futura. Okay. Then you're an audience after my own heart. The channel is called The Future, and it's because I love Futura, and we just dropped the A, and it's called The Future, guys. So all you type nerds out there, this bud's for you. You can take one for me. There we go. Okay. And this is the last little bit here. And I'll explain this one a little bit later, okay? And why the visual language looks like the way it does. Let me jump back out to my desktop and open up the first round of design. Here we go.
Sylvan says, I love Futura, but I love Chris Do more.
Aw, you're so sweet. Is that a woman or man?
I don't know. I don't know.
What's wrong with my screen? Uh-oh. All right, here we go. So this is her first motion board, I think. And she just printed out every single frame for me, and we're looking at it together. And so you can see here, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So this one, you see this little triangle. You remember that? Let me show you. You guys remember this thing that I love right here? This little thing? You see, like, how when you start to understand, and if you have a broad understanding of art and not just graphic design, you can pull in from like a broader palette of things. So then that little diamond shape, oops, that's what that thing is right here. So that's sneaking itself in. So she's playing around with that shape, and we can see that split what is it called? Split prism?
Split prism.
Split prism. You can see that happening there. And so she's kind of just still exploring here. I'm not going to go in every single one, but just looking at the work. So this is the first time we're seeing some photography. Now this little window here, is something that you can drop a piece of video into, which is what we need. We need spaces to put video. So we're going to show some video footage along with graphics. So this right here, those are just placeholders. That would probably be the credits, executive producer, the host, edited by, those kinds of things. So they're just placeholders there, okay? And we can see down here, she included a little bit of a timestamp. That's the kind of a common language there, time code for video and for film. For video, I'm sorry, for editing. This is Snapshot. And I have not given her any direction. This is just her playing here. So this looks a little funky to me. She's like playing around with these geometric shapes. Let me just see if I can draw that. This looks funky to me because it feels like it's trying to be a 3D cube, creating an illusion of space. but I feel like it's if it's supposed to be this raw show that's kind of unscripted, this is too self-conscious for me. It's too designed. Okay, it's beautiful design. Some of these frames look really great. Like I love this one. This is a really nice frame.
So let me ask you, I'm new to this, and you called this a motion board?
This is called a storyboard.
A storyboard, okay.
Yeah. And if you follow it, theoretically, an animator can take something like this and animate from one frame to the next.
I see. Does it go horizontally in order?
Okay, that's a really good question. God, my Wacom tablet is just not behaving. Okay, you would start here, top left, just like you read a normal story, and you would go to the next frame over here, right? And you would just keep going on. So that's theoretically how it works, but this is obviously not a frame that's supposed to be part of it. And you kind of build it up, and then you reveal the name of the show. So let's say this frame right here. This one right here, Ben, the one in the top right corner, that should be the last frame. That should go over here, right? You don't usually open with that. You bring on some graphics. It's kind of abstract and all that kind of stuff. Go ahead.
So what kind of direction did you give her?
I'm about to give it to you right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Please do.
So I just want to tell you guys like what frames I like a lot. Like this frame is really good looking right here. Now I think this is supposed to be red, but when I made a contact sheet out of it, maybe it got a little funny. I don't know what happened here. Maybe it was blue. This was a really beautiful frame here. I like all this kind of funky geometric shapes. It's very modern. It's kind of like this graphic blocking thing that's kind of cool. I want to point out this thing. Look at what she's doing here. She's playing around with the red shape being above the eye, but over here, oops, I can't. I didn't put it on another layer, but the V, this is on top of it. That's kind of cool. These frames here, I'm not feeling. These frames right here, it just kind of looks like some kind of rotating boxes for me. And I want something more raw and to capture that essence that, you know what, it's kind of like, it's a little bit ugly and unrefined. I'm looking for that, okay? So I'm gonna close this one. Ignore that for a second. Any other questions coming in, Ben?
Everybody's hating on your Wacom. However you say that. Because it crashed YouTube. We're back now, but...
It has nothing to do with Wacom. It's just a tool, guys. Why am I...
The internet blames your tablet.
It's unfair that they blame the Wacom. What else are they saying, Ben? I need a... My throat's giving out here. I've been talking too much. Anything else you can say, Ben?
Yeah, so Giuseppe wants to know, would you not expect all of this experimentation to be done by hand sketching? Which is kind of a good question. And I'm curious as to what direction you gave Min, like from the beginning. Like how did she produce this?
I already gave it to you.
We did?
Yeah.
Was I lost in the comments?
No.
Oh.
People think that I'm writing these long briefs. I'm not. Internally, I say, Min, I need a new main title design. Have you ever done one before? She's like, no, not really. I said, okay, we're going to do this new show. It's called Snapshot, and it's going to be a behind-the-scenes thing. Come up with some ideas, man. That's the brief.
And she just produces?
She produces. And we have a dialogue about it, and we meet every once in a while. Every couple of days, we sit down, or if she has a question, she'll flag me, and we'll do that. Okay?
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's how we do that. And I give my designers a lot of space. I don't think Min was sitting there, and Min could chime in if she wants. I don't think Min was sitting there thinking, like, it has to be perfect, it has to be right, and I have to totally nail this concept the first time I see Chris, otherwise he's going to go insane on me. Mm-hmm. I know that this is not something that she's done. I know that I didn't spend an hour writing a brief and giving it to her and thoroughly explaining to her what I want. Now, there's a management principle here that I want to point out to you guys, even though I'm not supposed to talk about management today. The management principle is this. Tell people the goal, don't tell them how to get there.
Interesting.
The goal is I need a main title design, it needs to be called this, and it lives on the Future's network. It's got to have its own visual identity, and the feeling it's supposed to have is candid, unscripted, raw, unprocessed, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be real. So then explore. Make stuff. And she's like, how many frames do you want to see? As many frames as you want to show me. Mm-hmm. I have no magic number. You can show me one frame that's amazing, that tells the whole story. You can show me 15. It doesn't really matter. You can see like she's going through this. Now I want to introduce a new concept to you guys. Excuse me 1 second. Oh, my throat's all like jacked now.
So what about the concept of hand sketching?
The concept of hand sketching, I don't want to dictate your tools, man.
Yeah.
If you like working with paper and pencil, that's good. That works for me. I'm old school, and I don't prefer one tool over the other. I'm tool agnostic, man. Whatever works. If you want to whip out a clay tablet and a stick and start doing that, more power to you.
As long as you get it on time.
You just got to give me some ideas to work with.
Right.
So now I can see, can we cut back to my screen, Cheryl? All right. I don't know, Cheryl, are you bouncing back and forth on the screen so we're not always looking at it?
Hey, Jacob Campbell, Chris did not ask Min for a specific number of comps. It was just...
No, she's just a beast.
Yeah.
She's a beast, all right? We're all good, Aaron? Okay. So we're on my screen right now. I wanted to say that it felt like Min was a little bit stuck. So here's where the thing that I would say, you guys, is I think you want to immerse yourself within the project, understand what it is you're trying to do, get some context, look at some references, and like if we're looking at documentary films or this language of cinema verite, what does that look like? Have some kind of foundation, and then ideas will start to form because you kind of know where you're supposed to be. There's something that my business coach would always say to me. It's like, you don't need to tell me where the target is. I can hit the target. Just tell me what wall it's on. Am I facing north, east, south, or west? In order to be able to solve something, I think Joseph Salk was of the Salk Institute, the guy who found the cure for polio, the polio vaccine. He's like, you kind of have to know what the solution looks like to be able to find it.
Interesting.
And there's a thing I would do with my students when I was teaching at Art Center. The thing I would do with them is I would say to them, okay, everybody, I would like you guys to go outside and get me a leaf. How many of you guys can do that? They all raised their hand. And Eric, of course, I can get you a leaf. I'm like, go get me a leaf. And they all left. And I sat there, I'm like, did they ever ask me what kind of leaf I'm looking for? Is it a Canadian maple leaf? How could they do that in LA? I don't know. What kind of leaf are we talking about? So you kind of have to know what general direction before you just go out there. But creative people were like, I'll figure it out. I'll use my intuition. Or I love this kind of leaf, so no matter what you ask me for, I'm going to give you my favorite leaf. And that's a problem. All right, so here's where Min's kind of getting a little bogged down. And I said, let's do a Supercomp. And that's a term you guys may not be aware of. So I'm going to show you what a Supercomp looks like. A Supercomp is a way of thinking through the entire story in one giant frame. So you design a giant frame, and then what you do later is you take the crop tool and you find moments in that frame. And when you lay it out, if it's built high resolution enough, it looks amazing and it looks like it's all connected.
Huh.
So it's a little bit of a trick. If you're short on time, design a giant Supercomp. If you're still exploring this kind of design, it works for this kind of design, where it's like very graphics heavy. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like, okay? All right, you guys, let's go. Where is it? All right, here we go. Here's Supercomp version 1. And there's 2 versions. Like everything that Min does, she does like 55 versions, right?
Yeah, she's prolific.
She is a beast. And something funny always happens. There we go. All right. We're on my screen. Let me do this. All right.
Wow, look at that.
I think it's this one. Okay, so this is what we call a Supercomp, Ben. Let me hide this stuff. And you can see it. Like, I'll zoom out. So this does not have the proportion or aspect ratio of a storyboard sequence, which is HD, 1920 by 1080. Okay? So what she's doing, she's just laying lots of things out. And at this point, what I asked her to do was look at contact sheets. You guys know what contact sheets are?
I don't.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
Okay, a contact sheet is, oh man, you're like you're younger than I thought, man.
Okay, wait a minute. We're still in photography, right?
Uh-huh.
That's where they plot out the whole roll on a sheet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had to go way back. I had to go to
You
high
way
school
back?
to find
You
that
went to
one.
high school.
Yeah.
All right. You know, back in the day when there was photo paper and emulsion and exposure and photochemicals, you would lay out your strip of negatives and you do a contact sheet because you got to see what you got. Then you're going to pick one. So inherently, they have these little markings on the side, the frame number, the speed of the film, the manufacturer, and then you would print one of these, right? And then you're like, oh, that image of David Bowie looks really good. And you would circle it and you'd make some notes, right? And there's something about that looks really cool to me.
Yeah.
They use a marker, or oftentimes they would use a grease pencil. Look at this.
I remember those.
Right?
Ninth grade photography
I don't know what these
right
markings mean. Maybe they're like overexposed, or framing's wrong. There's something there.
there. This is the one.
Right, that's the one, or I need to crop that, or whatever it is, they would mark it up. Now, this kind of visual language also is used by people who are surveying people. In films, they show you that spy photographer who's like in the car. If it's Brad Pitt on Ocean's 55 or whatever it is, they'll take pictures around the casino pretending like they're tourists.
Right.
And they'll go back and like, there's security camera B, security camera C. This is a very common language there, right? Because this is kind of like what we associate with people that are undercover.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever do this kind of stuff, undercover as a cop?
No, man, we had digital stuff.
Hey, man, I'm not a whole dude, come on. All right. But there's something inherently really cool looking to me. You can see that the exposure, because it's a one exposure for all of them, some are super overexposed and some are underexposed, right? You can see there, some are really hot and then some are gray. And you're looking for good contrast. So now I told Min, like, you see all those little numbers in there? Oh, God. Right? The little numbers and the markings. Why don't we start to riff off that? So now you can see that she's starting to incorporate that. These little perforations of the film. The sprocket holes. We're still working with this, but now she's also adding the language of video, the battery life, and those kind of graphics, play, 10, 20, 15, 30p, how many frames per second it's recording.
So the internet is going crazy over this. Everybody loves it.
They love it?
Some people want it as prints to hang in their bedroom, and they're just ashamed at comparing themselves to Min. So.
Oh, you guys, don't take it so hard, we hire the best designers I can afford. And they can tolerate my personality. You guys have an abrasive personality for some. It's a role I play on TV. And I asked Min to incorporate some elements, like from the equipment that we use, so cameras. So I think she doesn't know what we use, so she grabbed like this, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's an A7S, what kind of camera, but we use professional broadcast cameras and tripods. And I thought about, you see all these cables around here, and the heads, the fluid heads, and the mics. Like, get some of that in there.
Yeah.
Because what you see on your screen is all the pretty stuff. I'm not saying Ben or I are pretty, but all the stuff behind us, the equipment, the monitors,
it's gnarly.
waveform, and the vector scopes.
It's detailed.
That stuff is like really cool to me.
Yeah.
And so if you want to tell somebody that this is raw and unprocessed, you kind of want to have strange croppings and things that are kind of the happy accidents, if you will. Where you go a little wider than you're supposed to, or I didn't have hair and makeup done that day and it just don't look quite right. That's what we want. We want that feeling. You give me a look. Like, what's your look, dude? You read something nice. Somebody's like, Ben Burns looks amazing.
Betsy Langford said, "Give the man a cough drop."
I have a cough drop. Sorry. I bleed for you guys. You know that, right? So here's another one. Now, Min, there are variations on the design. These are not meant to be like, oh my God, it's a totally brand new direction, where she's introducing one or two new variables, a different color. That now we got duotones in here. We got a warm color and a cool color, and just playing around with the design, the complexity. And I like really beautiful asymmetrical typography. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me pick a gnarly color so you guys can see. Okay. Here. This is what I'm talking about. Ooh, my pen needs to be a lot bigger. I'm holding down, you guys, on a Mac, Control Option. I'm not going to tell you what PC because I don't like PCs. To change the brush size. You see that right there? So that's brush size, and I'm going to make it a lot smaller. And this is a custom brush. I don't know. Woo! It's super slow. Oh my God, something's going on. Ben, are you seeing that crazy line?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think you just need a new computer.
No, my computer's fine. Anyways, that's a lame line. It should be like this. Oh. Huh. Why do I have Safari open? Okay. Anyways, I like things where the word expected or unexpected. Yeah. See, it says un right here. Share, are we doing screen share or something? We are? I thought we were going through the HDMI. My computer's like crawling. Are we using HDMI or no?
Yeah.
We are? All right, anyways, you guys see the U, my computer's like crawling. Okay, so UNEXPECTED, here's the D. You guys see that? Ben, can you see it now when I underline it?
Yeah, I think
All right.
everybody's got it.
See, like, if you didn't know any better, when we crop into this, I'm going to show you the frames later when we crop into it. You'll see, like, oh, that's why there's a common visual language between all the frames.
Gotcha.
Because they were designed on a giant board, a Supercomp, if you will. Okay, it's just one way of working. All right? And then I'm going to go to the next page. So here she's using grays, blacks, and reds. Very similar visual aesthetic. You can totally see it. Moving typography around just to see like what works. I love that Min will do 4 or 5 of these things a day.
A couple questions here.
Yeah.
How large is this file? What are the dimensions of it right here?
Okay,
It's massive, right?
Let me look at it.
And how much time?
Oh my God, it is massive.
That's probably why, right?
Oh, it's not your fault, Cheryl. It's my fault. Yep, it's ginormous. Look at this, guys. It's 82 inches by 111 inches.
Wow.
Yeah. I think originally this was an Illustrator file, so it wasn't as heavy.
Okay.
But I asked it to be converted into a JPEG so I can work on top of it. So these files are too big for me to be working on like this, okay? Each one's like a half a gigabyte. That's
So
way too big.
how long
question.
did she...
Who asked that question?
like 80 people.
80 people.
Yeah.
Like the files do need to be big, because you know why? I'm going to show you why right now. First, I'm going to down res this, okay? Let me do it to... It's 12,000, maybe like 3,000. I just hit Command Option I, guys, to go to image size. It's a keyboard shortcut. There we go. It's a little more responsive now.
Taisha Turner says, poor Cheryl. I agree. Poor Cheryl. Good job, Cheryl.
Good job, Cheryl. Vindicated. Okay. I fired the gun first, and I'm like, wait.
Ask questions later.
Yeah. All right, so Ben, this is what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to grab the marquee tool. And I'm going to go and constrain the aspect ratio in a second, if I can figure out how to do that. Fixed ratio. So I'm going to do 1920. No, not inches, I'm sorry. 1920 points. Are you kidding me? 1920 px. What's the abbreviation for pixels, Ben?
PX?
What's like so 1 to 185? Let's try that. Okay. I'm gonna create another box here. So what I'm gonna do is this aspect ratio right here, you see this box that I'm gonna draw? I'm looking for a frame. It's like Dana White, I'm looking for a fighter. So I'm gonna say like this is one, and it's stroke. And I'll do like a real beefy stroke so you guys can see it. Okay? So let's say that's a frame. And I'm going to look for another one here. I like where this is going here. Maybe like this. And, this wide shot might look really good.
So you're basically chopping it up.
Yeah, but you see how like I'm not chopping up in like even
In a grid or anything?
Yeah, there's no grid. I'm just looking for like cool little moments. This one is really good right here.
I think everybody on the internet is going, oh.
Yeah, the collective, oh. That's what that dude was talking about. So now look, I'm going to draw on this. You see now, this frame here is related to this frame because of these common elements here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you may or may not recognize it. Like when I break this thing up, and you'll see it in a little bit. I promise you guys, I'll show you what the sequence looks like. And then you'll see like, oh, that's how they come up with like 36 frames in a day.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. All right, so we're just looking for like little moments. So I'm gonna do one more. So this is just like what I imagine a photo editor does at Vogue. You know, it's like, oh, that looks good. I'm really liking this kind of hot orange, this kind of almost fluorescent orange against this subdued gray.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It looks good, right? It really pops. And it has a different visual language than our show, the channel, which is blue and yellow.
Mr. Red says paradigm shift stuff right there. Joanna says beast is the word of the day.
Well, Min is a beast. And if you guys are new to motion, maybe this will help you. And we're just exploring really fast. So here's another design. So now she's exploring like this salmon color with kind of a deep, I don't know, it's a bluish purple. It's like an indigo, a lighter indigo against the gray. It's really beautiful. And people will say to me like, gosh, I hate that color. It's like, there's no, you can give me the most ugly color like vomit. And if you use it the right way and use it against a contrasting color and use it very sparingly, there's no such thing as a bad color. Give me dirt brown, I'll make it look good. That's really about designer, because I remember seeing a flyer before for like a punk rock show, and they used like dirty brown and a deep blue, and they look really good together, and they would overprint it and just like really beautiful.
Yeah, see, and I've told you this before, but color, as a designer, it was my weakest point. And so seeing this is just awesome.
Now you can see that, right?
Yeah,
so
it's gorgeous.
If you have an ugly color, if your clients mandate that you use a certain color of yellow and some other color, introduce a third neutral color, something that you can use as your primary color. So in this particular design, I would say the primary color is like this gray, this warm gray. And then use the pink or yellow, whatever ugly color, very sparingly. And you're going to elevate the client's taste level.
Right.
And what they're going to see is they're going to say like, wow, I never saw my color being used that way before. That's very refreshing. Maybe I've been locked into how it's been used. And then you could recommend at that point, this is the pivot. I found 3 other shades that are very similar to that color. Would you be okay if we explored those colors? And they're like, yeah, once you've earned their trust and you feel like you're being respectful to the brand and the brand equity, you earn some of that trust and they give you some. And then you can put in a new color that, to a designer is the world. Like it's PMS 7432 and not PMS 7435. And that means everything to you, but to normal people it can't see the difference. So you can actually get them to switch colors and create a new brand Bible style guide and move forward, and you're just like happy. Little trick there. But I need you to talk for a little bit.
I like being happy. Well, let's go to the comments. Dave says, really very inspiring process of finding great compositions. And I totally agree. I mean, the Supercomp is crazy. Simple answer to this question. How many comps are in that Supercomp?
As many as you want to pull from it.
Yeah, because it depends on the size. There's no grid, so you can get as granular or as macro as you want, really.
You can rotate them.
Oh, man.
So that opens up a whole nother level of design. I see one in here that's really nice, so let me scale this one down. My computer's freaking out. Let's see, 3,000.
Yeah, people like this. I think we need to print this. Hey, guys, would you buy a print if we printed this for you?
All right, check this out.
Let me know in the comments.
I see something really cool here. I'm going to do something like this, right? And then I'm going to rotate this. Whoop.
Hugo says, hi, Chris, and he took like 4 lines to type that out. So that was some effort right there, Hugo.
Okay, so I'm going to switch the aspect ratio from 1 this way to 185. Okay? Now I'll go like this. Maybe something like that. Find my composition, right? So then I will rotate that 90 degrees, Ben. So this will be the frame then.
Wow, a lot of people would buy this. Some people are saying how much? How much would you pay for it?
Well, we're not in the print business yet, but maybe we will be. I don't know. So you guys see that right there? That's a pretty cool looking frame. And I'm going to tell you why I saw that. I'll tell you the rationale behind that. And we have a little bit of a problem here. Can you guys spot the problem? The problem is this little corner right here, in the lower left-hand corner. Sometimes when you crop these things, if you're not paying attention, you're doing it live for TV, you may not spend the most time and utter care cropping these things. That's an easy problem to fix. What's Spotlight doing? All right, so I'm going to lock that layer right there, okay? And I'm just going to go and grab my stamp tool, get a nice chunky size there, and just really quickly fix it. And nobody's the wiser for it. So instead of recropping, I'll just go in and do that. That's super easy to do, right? Now, why did I pick this frame and why did I rotate it? One, I wanted to show you the versatility of doing a giant comp like this. Two, I wanted to make sure you guys keep an open mind and look for the happy accidents, the kinds of things that you can discover if you're not locked into a very prescriptive way of working and seeing things. But look at this. Okay, well, I got to redo or revert this file. Give me 1 second. All right, go back. The reason why, I'm going to change this, 3,000. The reason why is because the answer is right here. Because I saw this guy right there. Because that one was vertical, I knew I could take something like this and crop it, and then I knew then it would work. And people wouldn't be like, well, why is everything turned? Because that would be the one element that was oriented correctly. That caught my eye right away. You see that? Mm-hmm. Now you guys can get really tricky. You can do crops like this, you know. This is an ugly one. But this could be a framing device here where you have this circular element and you have these things that a skilled animator can come in and animate and do some really cool stuff with. And then this all here could be live action. And maybe there's a lower third right here. Okay? And let me zoom in so you guys can see that a little bit better. What I would do, I goofed here. I really should have lined up the type right there. So it follows this. I like things that are anchored on the left edge, a justified left edge. It shows that there's, even though you may not be aware of it on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, the order makes you feel a little bit better. Just anchoring things so it doesn't feel totally random. And I'll talk more about movement in design at some other point, but not today. All right, let's keep jamming here.
We got some global people on here, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm seeing it's 5 a.m., it's 1 a.m., it's nearing midnight. I really appreciate this.
Why don't we do this? Let's do a roll call. Everybody type into the comments below what city you're calling from, and we'll just read them all off. Okay, everybody do that right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing Bali,
Portugal.
Future Worldwide. That's not a place. Come on, Jacob.
Don't get too clever, Jacob.
Dublin. Wow.
Dublin, Ireland. Beautiful.
Edinburgh, London, Chicago, Vienna, Olympia. Oh my God, they're going too fast. I can't read it.
Go on, Ben. Keep up.
Miami, New York, Portland, Sylvania, Houston.
Hey, hold on. That's like a Pitbull song, right? Ibiza, London, or is that a Jennifer Lopez song?
I don't know.
Go to.
You guys are going to break the internet. There's one I can't even read. Netherlands, Serbia, London, Morocco. Man, you guys are troopers.
Woo! Thanks for tuning in, you guys. You guys like this kind of stuff? I'll do more if you want it. Next week, we're going to look at your design, though. We have one more here, Ben.
Okay, let's take a look.
Cut to this screen. Thanks for all chiming in, you guys. Thanks for staying up late or waking up really early. For some of you guys, I know it's Saturday already, and that's really cool. I'm honored and humbled by the fact that you're here tuning in to watch Skinny Bald Guy and the Bearded Man. That's a new segment. Skinny Bald Guy and the Bearded Man. And we'll do like David Lynch, red curtains and the checkerboard floor.
Awesome.
Just like Twin Peaks, you guys. So this is one more design here. This one doesn't seem to have the kind of same energy as the other ones, and I'll tell you why. It's because the elements on this screen are just too big. I don't see a lot of frames in it. I see like 2. Okay? I like big, bold type, but you have to contrast that with lots of detail. And then I think here, let me close this one. Close all this stuff. Okay, now we're going to go into the, oh my God. This is only round 2, version 1. I don't know how long we want to do this for you guys, so let me see. I'm going to show you guys this set, and then we'll show you a few more things, and we'll be moving on with our lives. Okay? All right. So if you guys don't know, I'm just hitting the letter F on my keyboard to kind of hide the desktop. And if you want to hide everything, you just hit F again, and it's super minimal like that. So it toggles. So you hit F. That's a default.
While that stuff is opening,
yeah.
How long did this take Min?
Everybody wants to know how long it takes.
Everybody wants to know.
If I told you how long it took her or how short it took her, it might scare you guys. So it took her a really long time, you guys. No, these are internal projects. Let's everybody keep this in mind. These are internal projects, so we cannot dedicate all our working time because she's the staff employee here at Blank, right? Mm-hmm. That means that there's paying work that we have to do first. So every once in a while, she has a 1 or 2 day block. She goes in and she jams on this, and then we talk. And then she'll send me frames at night. You know, like I'll go home, I got stuff to do, I'll review this at midnight, you know, it's in our Dropbox, and then next day I give her some notes and then she keeps working. But I think you guys are gonna like this next set because it's kind of a bit of departure here. So check this out. Come on, refresh. All right. There's something really beautiful about this. It's almost like some kind of Japanese minimalism poster.
Wow.
Right? Like two big black blobs, scattering of type or weird things at the bottom here. You guys see this at the bottom? These numbers. And here's where she's taking the original reference of the frame numbers from the contact sheet and the negative, and she's deconstructing it. So when you talk about like, what is that, like a gastropub where they like blend a steak and then they freeze it and it's not what you think it is, but it tastes like what it is.
Right.
That's kind of what she's doing. She's deconstructing it. And when you watch the shows like Master Chef and Chopped or whatever, and they take a s'more and they break it apart and it's just deconstructed, it's just seeing something ordinary in a brand new way makes it extraordinary.
I'm going to give Min a hug after this. 'Cause this is just gorgeous.
It,
I'm just going to scoop her up,
she's
right?
She's very tiny. So you see the numbers, and I want to point this thing out here. Look at this corner. Just this corner is just exquisite. Now, I'm going to ask the internet. Here we go, internet. Hands on the buzzer. First answer that's correct wins. What is the name of this typeface? It's one that's on the list. What's the name of this typeface? Right there.
Leave it in the comments. I'll read.
Come on, guys.
Okay, Min is dope. Mind blowing. Min is boss.
Min is pretty boss.
Focal range. Focus ring. I think we're asking for the typeface, right?
Typeface. What's the name of the typeface, guys?
OCR-A.
Oh, who said that?
Peleg Red.
Wow. Is that a woman or man?
It's on YouTube. I can't really tell.
Okay, it's OCR-A. Now, we're going to ask you guys the next trivia question is what does OCR-A stand for? OCR is a acronym. OCR. And then tell me what's the history. We're getting a little nerdy here. We're going to get into some type stuff.
Peleg said, man.
What happened?
He's stumped.
Oh, the guy who guessed it doesn't know what it stands for. Now, the internet can find out because you guys can search, but I really want to know who really knows what OCR stands for.
Okay, Samuel W. on YouTube said optical character recognition.
Beautiful. Now, ask him if he, I can ask him. Did you know that, or did you look that up on the internet?
We're catching up. We're catching up. A lot of people got this one. I see Googlers in this bunch here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over on Facebook, though, we did have some close seconds. Simeo Lagoa said OCR.
Yeah.
John Bermudez said OCR. So they were right there kind of tied.
OCR, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to show you guys a little something here, okay? So optical character recognition was a typeface designed specifically for those scanners at the checkout market. When you look at barcodes and things like that, so OCR-A is optical character recognition font A, or typeface A, and there's an OCR-B, which looks a little bit more like human. Like, it doesn't look like robotic like this, okay?
I see.
That's exactly, so knowing a little bit of your type or history allows you to have a little more mastery about what font to choose. It's a big question, like what font should I choose? Well, I'm choosing this for a specific reason. First of all, those are the same, that's the same typeface used on film negs. So there's a reference point there. Like when you use Bell Gothic, we won't get into Bell Gothic, but every font has a function and a design, at least the ones that are on my list. They're created for a need, right? Like we want to be able to have really legible typefaces when we're driving on the freeway. So those fonts were created, like DIN, right? So OCR. Now, I'm going to show you guys this thing. And there's an OCR-B too.
Mr. Doe dropping knowledge. That's funny.
I want to point out some things here. One,
okay, go.
Right here. See this right here? See that 8? It's cropped off a little bit. That is really nice. It creates tension. Cropping things off makes me want to think about like what else is out there. Right? When you hide something, like when you Basquiat, Jean-Michel Basquiat, the famous artist, right? He would cross out words that he would write, and they asked him like, why? He's like, because it would want you to make you read it more. So there's this idea of censorship. Like if you cover up something, certain parts, you kind of, what is there? Sacha Baron Cohen, he would do a joke about something crossed out. Anyways, so that's called visual tension, okay? Now, I'm going to hide this type for a little bit. Look at this. This is where I think if you take a design like this, which is very cold, it's done in Illustrator, it's very precise, and you add in a little hand-done element, it makes the design sing. I like having a variety of textures, colors, scales, so something really big next to something really small, make both really cool. Contrast, contrast, contrast. That's the key. So look at this, what I've done here. Now I'm not looking at the whole design, I'm just looking at this little part. Just by circling this and then having somewhat of a hand-drawn, even though it's done digitally, we're around the circle and then arrow, you see how like a little bit of color and hand-drawn thing makes the design pop, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is when you draw on it, it gives it that sense of spontaneity. Like it wasn't perfect. Like when you see proofreading marks back from your AP Associated Press days, you mark things up.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. And lastly, I want to just point out one little thing that you guys can use. You see like, I'm going to paint over this, you guys. 1 second. There's arcs, right? There's this arc, there's all these arcs in here. And we're not sure like where they go. What you want to do is you want to tie these things together. Okay? So ideally, you see this arc here? Our eye wants to continue it up here. All right, so I'm going to hide this typeface. Okay? So if you had a little design element, like some words here, or some design here, it would tie in with this because our eye would continue it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want to do. And I could have a little element here and something down here even, just to really reinforce that concept. Okay? And that's what you want to do.
Jacob Campbell said the 8 could be infinity, and being half off the edge kind of echoes that. That's kind of deep, Jacob.
He's going a little deep there. Did a little ganja before he made that comment. All right. Lay off the Mary Jane. Let's move on. Okay. I think there's just some cool elements here. Like, look at this stuff. And she's taking all these things that she finds in, where is it? Camera viewfinder. All these things that are super cool. Oh, I'm moving or Chrome like it's Photoshop. He didn't like that. So she's looking at this, looking at the contact sheet, and using that as a jumping off point, and bringing all that stuff in here and making it really cool. These are all really cool elements that she's kind of creating a palette of ingredients, if you will, and then grabbing those and then recontextualizing them, smashing them, playing, all these things. Like, it takes time to build up the elements, but once you have elements, you can crank like a beast. So if you guys want to crank out designs like Min, that's your hot tip, okay? So here she's starting to layer in more things. There's some kind of pattern and rhythm going on here. I like how she's using these radiating bits of type, almost as little brush strokes, okay? And she's taking this circle here, and she's offset it, like over there, so it creates an asymmetrical shape. So it's not just radiating concentric lines, which is really boring.
I see.
All right. Now this here, this is not working for me because the scale, the line weight is wrong. I believe if this line here were a little bit bolder, it would make for a more interesting thing.
The
but
blue,
I think it needs to be a lot smaller.
The blue is it feels too heavy to me.
It feels too heavy to me too.
It's like bam, it's in your face, you know.
There's a couple of problems with this. The blue is too much, too big, and not placed carefully enough. The blue could totally work, but it's not working just yet. And here's one area where it's super obvious to me. See this right here in the corner? That's really strange. That's where you have to kind of be mindful of how you crop type off. But look, in this stage of the game, we're just playing. We want to get ideas down as fast as possible and not overly commit to them. You know, I think some of the masters like Paul Rand would say, think before you work, because the more you work on something, the more you fall in love with your own work.
Right.
So just think first. So I like to try and mash things up as fast as possible and use materials I already have. Just try concepts out, all right? Before I kind of zero in on what it needs to be. How are people holding up here?
Great.
It's getting long.
For those of you who are just tuning in or just kind of recently tuned in, what we're doing is we're trying to develop Supercomps, right?
Well,
we're reviewing
really
Supercomps.
trying to design a sequence for a main title.
Okay.
Supercomp was just one of the strategies.
Right. So that's what we're doing. It's not books. It's not design books.
It's not a poster. It's frames for a storyboard. for a new show segment that we're going to be doing. There's something really cool now, putting a photography inside the letter forms themselves. I like that because we need to show footage, right? Let's keep going. Oh, look at this one. Now you can start to see that she's trying to bring all those parts and pieces together from the other frames. You recognize some of these elements, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
This thing you can see, the two offsetting circles you can see, the camera from before, we see now. There it is. We see a lot of the same typography, so she has built up a lot of assets now. She can try things out.
And this one, it's balanced. The blue is still in your face, right? But
Yeah.
it's balanced out by the orange, and it's used kind of all over the canvas, which makes me feel good.
Okay. I think here, you got to be careful when you use complementary colors. Don't use them in equal proportions. Because then, like, you think about red and green, what do you think about?
Christmas. Man.
So if you use lots of red and a little bit of green, it's okay. Use lots of green and a little bit of red, it's all right. But use when they come into equal proportions with any complementary color, it doesn't look good to me. Okay? All right, we're going to keep moving. Look at this one. Min does not stop. Except for at 7 o'clock, then she stops.
Joanna says Min might be on drugs. I don't think so.
No, if you met Min, she's not on drugs. She might be on sugar rush.
Yeah.
She's a sugar fiend. But no, she's not on drugs. Some beautiful
Then she said some
design work in
awesome
here,
drugs.
right? I think she works mostly in Illustrator. She's not that comfortable working in Photoshop. So her programs of choice are Illustrator and InDesign. I think she's learning Keynote now.
Mm-hmm.
But those are her main programs. She's a print designer through training. Okay. There's some pretty cool things in here. Lots of ideas, lots of looks, and now she's starting to break those out into frames. Now you can see how the Supercomp is broken down. So she cropped 2 of them to see how it looks. Now look at this. I think the typography on the right here on this blue screen is exquisite.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
You can use the classic typefaces in unexpected ways and create a whole new visual language for them.
Mm-hmm.
And with coloring, with textures, I like these 2 little diagonal lines. Remember the split, what is that called? Prism?
Mm-hmm.
The split prism? See, that's a theme that's going to be kind of reoccurring. All right? So I'm going to close all these windows down.
There's a reoccurring theme here of reoccurring themes.
There is. So is that what somebody's saying?
No, that was a dad joke. I just pulled that out. I'm sorry, guys.
All right. Don't quit your day job. Okay, so if you guys see my desktop right now, we're only into round 3, and you can see there's 9 more sets of frames, and then round 4 and round 5. So this is not, I think I want to open up to talk to people, okay? Now, I'm going to show you guys the crop. Let's see here. So she went in the Supercomp route, and this is what one set of boards looks like. So why don't we take a moment here to look at this board and to open it up to questions to people on Facebook. You guys get to see us kind of critique live, and so I want to open it up to them. Should we take a caller?
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
it time to take a caller?
I think it is.
Let's try this experiment, you guys. If it doesn't work, we'll just say we gave it a try. So if somebody wants to call me, Chris Doe, on Facebook, I'll answer your call. So Ben, pick somebody.
Okay. So the last person who commented that I see is Kyle Babikian.
Yeah, he's in our group. He's in the pro group. Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle, you want to call in? Caller?
In the meantime, Omer Yunus wants to know what a Supercomp is. He joined late.
Oh, okay. So in the meantime, Omer, the Supercomp is a way to design lots of frames and have them tie in together. So instead of designing individual frames like the what you might see on my desktop right now, you design a giant poster and then you go back and crop and put those together in a different sequence. And that's one way to get a lot of frames done really quickly. It only works for a certain kind of aesthetic. There he is.
There he is.
Is this the right person who's calling me?
Looks like
Simao? Hello? Can you hear me? Hold on a second. I'm going to turn on my mic here. Hold on. They hid my mic from me.
Oh yeah, it's way back there. You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Hang tight.
Got to reconfigure the desk there.
I can hear you now.
I can hear you. I think I have to turn off the sound on the live feed, Bill.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to get this feedback, right?
That's right, yes.
Okay, so What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Portuguese. I'm calling from Melbourne, Australia. I'm Simone.
That was hard for me to follow. Why'd you do it like that?
That's a lot.
Okay, you're Portuguese in Australia, and your name's Simão.
Yeah. That's
All right. And how do you say hello in Portuguese?
Hola.
Hola. Okay, I know how to say thank you, which is bom dia, right? Bom dia? Oh, no. Come on, I've had Brazilian friends here. It's not bom dia? Obrigado. I know that too.
Yes.
Okay, and maybe I'm mixing it up in my brain. Okay, so let's get on with the show. What's your question, caller?
Just wanted to contribute to the show.
Okay.
When you said that you'd have somebody on call, I want to contribute, that's all.
Oh, okay, I love that. Well, thanks for...
Put me through something.
Yeah, now, in Australia, what time is it? 11?
It's just over 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Because I do some consulting with people from Australia, so I kind of have a sense. Like,
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's great.
So 3 p.m. here is 10 a.m. your time, right? So now it's 4, so it's 11. Yeah. There's people in the pro group.
Okay, sorry about yesterday. I did not look at the clock when I called you, interrupting you again.
It's quite all right. Okay. Well, thanks for calling. Since you don't have a specific question, I'm gonna bounce you, and I'll see if anybody has a specific question. Okay. Thanks for testing the technology with us.
All right.
All right. Take care, man.
Good. Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, how about Shibani Roy? You have a question?
Kyle, call me back. I'll call Kyle right now. Hold on. Kyle, don't miss this. Otherwise, I'll call somebody else, Kyle. Here we go.
Portuguese people on YouTube are revolting
They're revolting.
on your pronunciation.
Look, as an Asian guy in America, cut me some slack, internet. I'm trying. Obrigado. Obrigado? No. Okay, all right. Kyle, what's up? Talk to me.
What's going on?
Ask your question, baby. Let's do this.
Well, I don't have a question, man. Dan just went, what?
The internet's killing me today. Well, how you doing, man? You're in our group, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? Is that your dog?
Oh, my cat.
Oh, your cat. Okay, I can't see you. Like you're on your iPhone or something, right?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, yeah.
All right. Well, here I am, and I'm running a show, so it is good to see and talk to you. Since you don't have a question either, where are you right now?
Ireland, Dublin.
Oh, Ireland. That's right. Okay. All right. Wow, this is like strong international crew right now.
Yeah,
Coming in strong.
that's cool though.
I like
Okay,
that.
so he doesn't have a question, so
All
let's
right,
get
we're
on.
the bounty dudes. Good talking to you. I'll see you in the pro group. Yeah.
All right, Omer,
Take care,
you're
man.
next.
Yeah, talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye.
But
Omer Yunus.
Hold on. Let me. Okay. Omer wants to ask or call in.
He's gonna call in.
Call in, Omer. This is live, man.
You can do it.
We can do it. We have the technology. We can do it.
Taisha likes this. Taisha, do you have a question?
You guys want me to dance or something? What do you want me to do? Like a trained monkey over here.
Well, his question was, do you guys work with any additional plugins when using Photoshop or Illustrator? It's another tool question.
Okay, good question. Do we use any other plugins for Illustrator or Photoshop on Illustrator? I don't think so. Photoshop, we might use the Sapphire plugins for certain looks. There's some
Okay.
really awesome looks that you can use, and we would use it for that. But we don't generally rely on plugins so much for Photoshop and Illustrator. Everything you want to do, you can do within the box. What is handy though is to have certain texture brushes, and you can make them yourself. You can buy them; they're super inexpensive to do that way. Something I recommend too is building up a library in Adobe Illustrator. So if you're doing a lot of comps and mocking things up in Illustrator, like a van or a jet or a t-shirt, and do what Aaron Droplin does. He creates a symbol library and just drops all those things in there, and he just saves that as his default. So he can just pull it out at any given time. He doesn't have to go hunting and pecking for his files. Being a professional is about optimizing your workflow, at least for a robot like myself. Okay, what's next?
Okay, we're still waiting for Omer.
Omer, you're gonna miss your window, dude.
However, we do have a good question from Robert Loyal on YouTube.
Okay.
He asks, I'm trying to get into animation. Do you think GIF loops or GIF loops are a great trend to go with, or should I just draw out cartoons for advertisements?
Really good question.
Yeah.
So you know how to animate and you want to use your skills, right? So I'm thinking, I don't know if GIF loops are that popular. Are they, Ben? But you know what is popular though?
It's tough to get paid for that.
It is, isn't it? Because there's so much
There's
of it
so
available
many,
in there.
like Giphy is just, you know, you can go
Yeah.
get anything from there.
Yeah, so I would say that if you can make a cinematograph, that's pretty cool. You guys know what a cinematograph is? Do you know?
I have no idea. No.
Okay, cinematograph is a hybrid between a photo and a video. So you basically shoot video, and then you rotoscope or mask out just the one part that you want to move, and then that loops. So everything is still, and just one part moves. Like the example would be on a busy street corner in New York, the steam keeps rising out of the sewer cover, but everything else is static. And I saw this other one where a skateboarder was doing a kickflip, and it was frozen in space because it was a still photo, but
Whoa.
the background was moving,
That's
and
awesome.
he was just floating. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So doing things like that. I know other people, like I think his name is Lee Lennox, and he does depth map paintings, and he makes a photograph come to life, where he offsets the image, and he cuts off the background, the midground, and the foreground. But he also paints a depth map so that the faces and the things have three-dimensional qualities. So using a distortion map in After Effects. I got super technical on that answer. Let's do something else. Is there anything else? Omer, you missed your window. Let's move on.
Okay.
I'm getting a little tired, you guys. My throat's barely hanging here.
How about one more question?
I'll take another question.
Okay. So Spencer Foster asks, I'm trying to get him to call in. Is he calling?
Freddie's calling in right
Awesome.
now.
Let's hear from Freddie.
Freddie, this is your window, dude. Boom. Man, when you hit that go button, you're in. Freddie, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Where are you, Freddie?
Oh, I'm in Branson, Missouri.
Good to speak to you. What can I do for you?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I just had a quick question about the branding. I noticed that you are kind of just like separating the branding with this new show. Is this going to be attached to Blind, or is this going to be another extension of like the future? And I can see the differentiation between the two and why you're going a separate direction. So just a quick question on that.
Okay. Excellent question. There are two companies, as you know. There's Blind and there's The Future. And The Future, as it exists on YouTube, is a channel. And channels should have more than one program. And so we want to experiment with different kinds of programming. So if you're a fan of one kind of program, you can just tune in just for that, right? So right now we're doing these kind of speed designs. Eventually that needs to live under its own thing. Because if you're coming to the channel to look for the business of design, where we talk about money, bidding, closing, marketing, sales, well, that might not turn you on. And we want to separate that out. And Matthew's working on a new segment called The Breakdown, where I think he's going to go in and look at projects that we're doing and explain how we did those projects.
Nice.
So we're going to have a variety of programs, and so each one needs to have its own identity. Now, under the parent umbrella, there should be a consistency in terms of the quality to expect and a certain kind of personality, but within that, there's lots of room to play. Okay?
Right.
So that's the thinking
That's
here,
awesome.
that we're going to grow the channel. At some point, it needs to be a multi-channel network, and so we're going to keep working on this. You know, we're growing our audience. You know, we have very ambitious goals. You know what our goals are.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic, man. I'm excited about it.
Great, and we're happy to have you as part of the group. You're a pro member too, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, all our pro members are calling in.
Hey, they know how to work the Facebook
You guys
thing.
know how to work Facebook. And everybody's like, what button do I hit?
This whole Facebook thing. Yeah.
All right, well, it's good talking to you.
Thanks so much, man.
I love the studio back there. How many people work there?
We got 5 in here.
You got 5 in there?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we're doing pretty good.
Excellent. Good for you, man.
Awesome, man.
Good seeing you. Take care.
Thanks so much, dude.
Okay, bye-bye. Should we do one more call? Somebody else try to call in, dude.
Oh, Spencer. Sorry, man. It won't let him call in.
Well, because I can only do one at a time.
How about try now, Spencer?
Spencer, get in fast, dude.
Quick.
Caller.
First caller gets it.
Yeah, that's right. I can only do one call at a time. Should we get a phone where people can dial in a real phone?
I think so.
I'm gonna go buy a cell phone.
Yeah.
I'll buy a cell phone. Oh,
Here we go.
Omer got in! Woo! Omer! Hey, turn on the camera, dude. I want to see you.
Put the lights on.
Turn the lights on and put your clothes on.
Okay, 1 second.
All right, it's a PG show, man. You guys, we doing okay there? Aaron, Cheryl, thumbs up. All right, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Umar, so it's pronounced
Omar?
Umar, yeah.
Umar. Okay.
I'm a big fan of your stuff.
Wait, where are you calling from? Where are you located, man?
I'm in LA.
You're in Los Angeles. Oh, you're just down the street in the rain. Okay, I get it.
So my question was, Do you guys use any plugins for Photoshop or Illustrator?
Oh, we answered that question already, dude. And the short answer is no. We really don't. Sometimes we might use a very specialized filter, like a halftone cross-hatching filter, but it's very rare. It's very purpose-driven. Most of what we do is just straight up Illustrator and Photoshop. I remember one time using, I think it was called Scriptographer. It was a plugin. It was a free plugin, free shareware, freeware kind of thing for Illustrator. It would do some really wonderful patterns, but he didn't update it, and so once Adobe updated the software, it stopped working. But that was kind of cool. But if anything, maybe buying some actions to save yourself some time, like extruding 3D type inside of Illustrator, doing different looks like that. I think that could come in handy. If you're finding that you're doing something over and over again, I would recommend creating your own action or buying them, because it's just as effective, right? That's it. Were you looking for a specific problem to solve?
I actually wanted you to review my website. I've been asking you for so many times.
All right, this is not the time. This is not the time. I'm like, hello, thank you, goodbye. No, next week we're gonna review some work. So here's the deal. Since a lot of people have this question, I get too many requests to review work, and I just have no free time left to my own self. Right? I got to do work. I have family stuff. So what we're gonna do is, Ben, how often should we do these kind of calls?
I like to do them once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, man.
Okay, you're the one who told me once a month.
Once a month is minimum.
Okay, so here we go.
At least once a month.
We're not making any promises, but we would like to do this to begin with once a month. We're going to try to get up to twice a month, and then we'll keep going, right? We're still working out the technical difficulties. Everybody's scrambling, I'm yelling, and I'm just like stressed out, and then we're on, okay? So we'll do this more often. The very next time, we're going to do one next week for motion design specific thing. Are you a motion designer?
I've done some of it in my portfolio.
That sounds sketchy.
So
all right.
that would be good. Yeah, that would be a good review.
Yeah, so we're gonna do motion design, and then we'll do like we'll pick like a kind of design. So everybody that's interested in that kind of thing can tune in, and it'll be web week, and it'll be like logo branding week. What kind of design do you do primarily?
I'm a user interface artist.
UI. Okay.
And design as well. I'm actually based in video games, so.
Oh, okay. Wow. Where do you work?
Dice Survey.
Okay.
We made Battlefield 1 previous to this.
Yeah. Sure.
Production, so we're doing Metal Gear Solid 5. Quite a lot of big titles, so.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would. Let me know what you think.
Kind of design celebrity in the house here, man. Working on some big stuff. Love it. Okay, I'll tell you what. Here's my promise to you. I already told everybody I'm going to do motion design next week. The very next one is UI design. And it's going to be all about you. Okay? Now, when the announcement goes up, this is very important, so please pay attention to this. When the announcement goes up, you need to register, and you need to get in early because the room will fill up. It will fill up at 50 people.
Sure.
Okay? That's it, man.
Okay.
So it was good talking to you. I'm going to bounce, okay?
Yeah, thanks very
All
much.
right. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Yeah, you too. You got excellent work, and keep going with it, and I just love everything that you guys are putting out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
See that?
All right. That was awesome, Ben. I think we're done with the live, those kind of calls, yeah?
Yep.
All right. Let's wrap up the show, dude. I'm tired. Are you tired?
I gotta use the restroom, so we need to.
Use the restroom?
Yeah, we need to
I'm
go.
going to show you guys the last little thing here. I'm not even sure it's the best one. What is this? Okay, ignore that.
We are getting requests to replay the intro. Just saying.
Two
Again.
times is not enough?
It is not enough.
All right, here we go, guys. I think this is where we net it out. We're not even done with this because you can tell this logo. This is not my favorite logo. Okay, I'm gonna hide everything so you guys can see it. Hold up. Okay, so here we are, and now we have windows for video. We've got a nice clean typeface. Type nerds, if you're still paying attention, what typeface are we using here for Snapshot? You guys tell me, okay? So there you can see the strong visual language of the sprocket holes and all that kind of information. We're going to see some kind of accidental design, I think. Some of those happy accidents where the frame's a little crooked and things are overlapping. You see that?
It's gorgeous.
Each frame is just beautiful, right?
Yeah. A lot of love on Facebook for this one.
Look at that, guys. So you're going to see screens. What you're seeing is we're looking over somebody's shoulder. This is somebody's shoulder right here. That's in the frame right there. And then you're seeing like what they see. So that looks like Photoshop.
Yeah.
Somebody painting. Okay.
Tommy Quo says, tell Chris I said that is freaking beautiful.
Well, I say freaking awesome, and thank you very much. Okay, so here we are. This is kind of like a little voyeuristic, you know? It's got those CIA Pentagon grid frames, you know, like when you drop a smart bomb on somebody's head.
Uh-oh.
Right? And then you kind of have somebody smelling their finger. That's Daniel. That's a blind office right there, you guys. Some artwork in the back there. From, I think that's Dave Kinsey in the back. Shepherd Ferry's former business partner. And then this kind of stuff. This is what we're talking about, kind of seeing the raw, the unprocessed.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing from the DSLR and the viewfinder.
That's great.
Look at this one. These are all just comped in here, right? And of course, when I said, we're going to circle some things, we're going to circle some things. We're going to make some notes on it. Like this. Like, don't use that frame. Remember the F? Or maybe dodge and burn here or something like that. So if there's some motion designers out there that want to help us animate this thing, you know where to reach me. We could use the help. Look at this frame here. I like this frame a lot. I'll tell you why. They covered up that idiot's mouth. You see that, Ben?
Yeah.
With the red bar. It's like, boop. Censored me. And
Denied.
There's like a low res quality about this image, and there's grain in it. It looks like there's some dog's hair or something like that. It's just kind of a little gnarly.
It's very cool.
And I like that. Nothing's perfect. It's kind of raw. There it is. That idiot got his head cut off again. Boom. Right? And we got some of the whiteboard. We love the whiteboards here.
They're everywhere.
And
every
look
single
at this
wall.
design, guys. There isn't a lot that's in this frame, but it's still really beautiful. And I'm going to tell you guys why in a second. So you see this giant R, right? This is an R, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just got one big shock of color. And at this size, it could just be a shape.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that it's an R. I know it's an R, and it's beautiful. Then we have the photograph, and then we have some hand-drawn elements. And then we have some very detailed things. So we essentially have only 4 ingredients in this frame. A photograph, a giant red typographic R, a hand-drawn marker thing, and these little digital things at the bottom, the sprocket holes. And the 4 really complement each other because of the word of the day, contrast. It's all about contrast. So there it is. That's it, Ben. You got a big old smile on your face.
Was Min mad at you? Because she kept chopping your head off here.
No, I said, hey, I want to see stuff like that.
Okay.
Don't treat me with respect. I don't want your respect. I want a good design. And it's just a placeholder because ultimately we need to get footage in there.
Yeah.
Right? And taking the time a little bit to kind of rotoscope out the fluid head. This is not a fluid head. I don't know what that is. It's a head on a tripod so that she can sneak type in behind it. So I think she's finding the formula. Like get a really grainy kind of like your rejects basically.
Yeah.
And put it in there and then just mess it up. I think that's the last frame. Snapshot. That needs a new logo, but yeah. You guys get that? Let's wrap it up, Ben. Let's see what else the people want, and then I think that's it for us.
Awesome. Any last minute questions?
Last minute questions, guys.
BLC.
How do you guys feel about the format? You guys know what to do next time?
BLCLC says this is like design porn for me.
Design
awesome.
porn.
Weird, but awesome.
What does that make us, Ben?
Pornographers? I mean,
No. We're the actors. What do they call them?
Oh,
There's
God.
a term for those people.
I don't know.
No, we're in front of camera, so we're not pornographers. The pornographers are Aaron and Cheryl.
Congrats, Cheryl.
We're like the
talent?
There's a term. Like in prostitution, I'd be called the John or the Mark or something, right? Anyways.
Porn
what else,
stars.
Let's go back to live feed. These live cameras here, you guys. Anything else? I know it got off to a little bumpy start. I was on edge. Of course, I'm on edge because who else would I be if I was not on edge?
Matthew Brown says that he's learned more from this channel than he did at the Art Institute. That's cool.
Wow, that's
Thanks,
really
man.
rad. I appreciate that. And I hope to continue to share what it is that I know. And we got some exciting things coming out, Ben. I'm so excited. My wife told me today, it's like, honey, you're moving like 1,000 miles an hour. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all this stuff? I'm like, and she's like, you're so happy to be alive. So, I know from your point of view, it looks like I'm moving 1,000 miles a minute, but it's just kind of like the law of inertia. You know, bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. And bodies in motion tend to be in motion. I'm just in motion. And
Yeah.
so if you think about like an object that moves through space, there's no effort. Once something moves in space, because there's no resistance from wind or atmosphere, it just keeps going. So if you're static and you're standing there and you're looking at a comet streaking by, you're like, how do I become that comet? What you have to do is a very simple thing, an idea from the book, The Compound Effect, which I haven't read yet, but I did pick up this little kernel of knowledge. If you make small decisions and take action consistently over time, it will have a dramatic result. So what looks like to be moving 1,000 miles per hour, if you just take little steps today, if you tune into our channel and pick up one new tip, maybe it was the OCR bit that you didn't know about, and maybe in each one of these kind of episodes, I can tell you a little bit about a different font. Like my type font history knowledge isn't great, but it's all right. I can share some of that with you. Maybe it's not a little bit, and that makes you a little bit more dangerous because now you have a little more mastery over what typeface to choose.
Yeah.
So just start with the list. If you don't know, start with my list, guys. Go pick it up. It's free. It's a PDF. You can download off SlideShare. You can go onto our site and download. I prefer if you do. And you can do that, or you can watch the video. We made an animation of it. And Jamie and I are working on a typography book, not because we want to, but because you guys keep asking us for it. So we've got some 20 plus rules, some examples, and hopefully we'll be interviewing and including in work from some design masters. No promises there, but I think it's going to be a great book. So if you want to learn more, that's the way to consume it. And can we tell them about the new site or no?
No, it's a secret,
All right.
man. It's the new site
edit that part out.
is a
All right.
secret.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Chris, and that's Ben. I'll see you guys next time. We're out. Were we out? Like, took out? I got a cough up like a lung or something.
You guys doing the title sequence again?
No. What you doing again?
Remember to set the titles, right?
Oh, God, there's water. Holy cow.